Welcome to our masterclass with the legendary Burt Goldman. Now I want to ask you a question. Do you have moments in your life where you're kind of stuck? You're trying to find a solution to a problem or the right question to ask in order to move forward. You were stuck in any which way it was and you kind of went, can't deal with this anymore, and off you went and did something else, or just sat back in your chair and looked out the window and gazed, and suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, the solution hits you. Bam! You've had that? Well, that's exactly what quantum jumping is all about today. Exactly that, but harnessing it to use it when you need it. The whole concept of daydreaming was something that was kicked out of us at school from as young as I can remember. I'm sure you guys as well can remember, anytime you're caught daydreaming or looking out the window, you were considered not focusing. And so therefore you got rapped in the knuckles with a ruler or scolded or shouted at or even maybe sent to detention, all to actually squash that part of your mental process. Well, research and data, scientists and psychologists now are proving that actually the better you daydream, the more creative your visualization is when you go on that daydream, the faster results are, the greater your brain's synapse and issue, solution and problem, and the quicker you can get on with your life. And it says in a lot of the data that actually those people who are the happiest and most successful are those who are actively daydreamers and are very aware and present when it happens. And a lot of very famous writers also say the difference between them and other people who want to be writers or want to be doing something successfully is that they are very aware when that moment happens, and they go for that ride because they know that's their brain, the insights of connecting sort of elsewhere to different worlds, different spheres, different memories, tapping all together and kind of mushing all together, come up with the most amazing scenarios, the most amazing thought processes. And it's all in your head. And if you can daydream and you can do it well and you can control it, then hey presto, the world opens up to you. And who better than to take us on that journey is Burt Goldman. Now he has spent his entire life learning systems, learning different ways of meditating, hypnosis, creative visualization. He has taught it to hundreds of thousands of people. He's developed all sorts of, along his life, different systems and models of how he's done that. And he's bringing to us quantum jumping, a program that actually hacks all of those different areas and different teachings and brings it together in a really simple, easy and fun way, because after all, we don't want to be bogged down with having something else to think about and figure out. We need to be able to actually free up and open our minds to things that are not tangible, like this table. And this man is going to teach us exactly how to do that time and again, so we get the results we want, or close enough to them anyway. So I think without much further ado, let us get on to our masterclass with Burt Goldman. Hey Burt! Burt, it's so wonderful to have you here with us today for this masterclass. We're all so excited.
Thank you. It's exciting for me as well.
Okay, Burt, I think we're going to dive straight in there, and I want to get to the fact that, you've accomplished so much just in your 80s. What do you have to say to people who get stuck in the whole age thing and worry about being old, too old to change their ways, too old to try new things?
Well, I tell them, look, I started many things in my 80s. I mean, starting from scratch. A lot of people look at people my age and wonder about their internet capacity. Most people, as far as the internet is concerned, when they're in their 80s, it's like kindergarten kids going 1 and 1 is 2. But I've started brand new websites in my 80s. I've learned how to use the internet to reach people all over the world. I've got hundreds of thousands of people that follow me on Facebook, as an example. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see over 100,000 there. All this is brand new. All this happened after I was 85. So don't tell me you're too old to learn new tricks, or that old saw that you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
So it's not about the age, I guess taking from it that it's all about your attitude to life.
You just said the magic word. People often ask me if I learned anything over the years I've been teaching these particular philosophies and concepts more than 50 years. If you had to sum it all up in one sentence, what would you say is the most important things that you learn? And what is it that makes you look so young? If you can tell me that in one sentence. And I tell them all the same thing. I'll tell you, not in one sentence, I'll tell you in one word. The secret is attitude. Your attitude is everything. Attitude is who you are, what you are. Attitude makes you the person that you are. When you learn how to control your attitude, you have truly, truly controlled your life. And you can control your life. Now, there are always outside forces at work. There are always roads in front of you. There are always offshoots to roads. There's a road ahead, as some would say, and books have been written about the road ahead, but they don't talk about the many forks in the road. Every time you come to a fork in a road, and that means every time you have to make a decision in life, every time that choice is presented to you, your life changes to some degree to the choice that you've made. You are who you are. I am who I am. Everyone is who they are due to choices that they made. Choices that they made when they were infants, choices that they, yes, I said infants, choices that they made when they were preteens, when they were teenagers, when they went to school, when they went to high school, when they went to university. There are always choices. We're always confronted by choice. And the choice that you make either creates a success in life or failure in life. The way I look at it, everyone is successful. The truly successful person who we look at monetarily speaking, the billionaire is successful at making money. Well, you know, the failure is successful also. The failure is successful at being a failure. It takes work to get there. Behind it all is attitude. Learn to control your attitude and you control you.
Well, Burt, obviously you've controlled and changed your attitude to such a degree. I mean, you're talking about a few of the things that you've achieved just in your 80s when you were 85. I want to take you back a little bit to your art, because part of this whole attitude of yours in quantum jumping kind of made you go from zero to, this professional artist in just a very short span of time, a few years. I mean, you're a selling artist now, your works are displayed. How did that happen? Can you walk us through?
I'm glad you asked that, because it all happened not too long ago. I actually knew nothing about art. Never had a lesson, never wanted a lesson, never picked up a paintbrush. But let me precede art with photography, because I didn't want to become a photographer either. I didn't know anything about photography. I was teaching a class in creativity and quantum jumping. Quantum Jump to Creativity was the name of the class. And as often happens in a class, people said, well, prove it. I said, what do you mean prove it? How can I prove it? And they said, well, become creative in something. And I says, all right, you pick the subject. That way you'll know if I'm creative or not. And somebody said, well, play the violin. And I said, well, no, I can't do that. We need a right brain thing. In other words, the violin takes dexterity. That takes practice. Pick something where it's just truly just the right brain, where practice, physical practice doesn't come into it. And one thing and another was said, and somebody said photography. I said, well, I don't know anything about a camera. Well, you don't have to. All you got to do is today you just push a button and you get a great picture. I said, okay, let me do that. And so I jumped into a doppelganger self. Now, what do I mean by that? In quantum jumping, the concept is that there is an infinity of universes, and in one of those universes, because it's infinite, whatever you can imagine is. So in one of those universes, I already am a great photographer. Now, if that sounds wild to you, it's an actual concept in quantum physics. In quantum physics, however, the physical world, they're held back. They can't get into it. But with respect to quantum jumping, we're not in the physical world, we're in the metaphysical world. And so we can do these things. And so what I decided to do was visit a doppelganger or a twin self of mine who already was successful as a photographer. Now, everything that I'm saying in the program becomes quite clear. I like to simplify things. And right now I'm talking about a rather complex subject, and I'm attempting to unfold it to you in just a few short words, but I think you'll get the idea. Here, there's a twin self of mine somewhere in one of those universes that is already a photographer. And that's the person I was trying to reach. So through the quantum jumping method, I closed my eyes and I imagined that I saw that twin self of mine. And all of a sudden, I got the impression that I was looking at a fellow with a black hood over his head, like the old-fashioned photographers had, with the velvet over their head. And I imagined, now this is with my eyes closed, I'm doing all this imagining, and I imagine that the fellow says to me, after I said, I want to become a great photographer, can you give me your energy? Can you give me your rhythm? Can you give me your attitude? And I heard, take a lot of pictures. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of advice is that? Take a lot of pictures. That's stupid. Of course, everybody knows you take a lot of pictures, you're going to get something by accident. Anyway, I went out and I bought a camera. I didn't have one at the time. And I took a lot of pictures. I had them developed. This was before digital. And I laid them out after they were all developed. And I had a lot of pictures. Didn't work. So I go back to my doppelganger self again. I close my eyes and I'm imagining I'm seeing the fellow and he's got the hood over his head. And I said, hey, I took a lot of pictures. Nothing happened. All the time I'm doing this, I'm feeling kind of silly. Because it is silly when you stop to think about it. But I was working out a concept. I said, I took a lot of pictures, nothing happened. And I see the guy goes, in other words, like telling me, go away, go away. I said, no, tell me something. And I hear, plant yourself. Plant yourself. This is worse than take a lot of pictures. What do you mean, plant yourself? Again, I get this, go away. I don't know what. This is stupid, I'm thinking. So, the heck with it. Anyway, the class that I was holding was a double weekend class. And so I had a whole week in San Diego by myself, and I had a camera. And so I figured I'll go to the marina and take some pictures. So I go to the marina because it's very pretty there. There's a lot of boats there and the ocean. And to get a good vantage, I'm crawling around on some rocks, and I'm walking around some rocks, and it's slippery. So I take my feet and I slam my feet down so I won't slip to get better purchase. And as I'm slamming my feet down, I'm thinking, gee, I'm planting myself. I wonder if that's what he meant. Sometimes you get messages, you don't know they're messages. And suddenly it came to me. Take a lot of pictures and plant yourself in one spot. In other words, now I'm the tripod. So I got the camera and I take a lot of pictures this way and then this way and this way. And I took over 100 pictures. I get them developed and I figure one of them's got to be good. And I lay them all out on the bed again. And I'm looking for the best picture, but as I lay them out, it's not a lot of pictures. It's one picture. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And I'd never seen anything like it in my life. That led me to a whole new art form. After that, wherever I went, I took a lot of pictures, I put them together, and I wound up in the International Photography Hall of Fame with my photography. 12, maybe 14, I forget how many, of my photographs are in the Hall of Fame. And I did. Now, when I did that, I'm thinking, well, that's an accident. This can't be. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it that I know I can't do? Well, I know I can't tap dance. So I tried it with tap dancing, and it was a flop. See, it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work. It's not a magic wand. There are no magic wands. But it's enough to get you a giant step ahead of everybody else when you understand how to use quantum jumping. So it didn't work for tap dancing. Okay, what else can I do? Art. I know I'm a lousy artist. For me to draw you, I draw a circle, that's your head, that's your body, like a stick figure. That's the best I can do. I can't draw. So I'll go to my art doppelganger. I go to my art doppelganger. Pretty much the same thing, except this time I didn't take a lot of pictures and plant yourself. This time I got jump into my body. Now, how can you jump into a body? Well, in your mind, you can do anything. Another quantum jumping premise that you learn about. Now, even though it sounds a little goofy when I'm saying it here, because I'm doing it in a few minutes, when you listen to the CDs and you get into the variety of modules, it all becomes clear. And so I went into my painter self. Now, did I become a great painter? No, but all of a sudden I was so enthusiastic about painting, I couldn't wait to get to an art store and buy brushes and buy paint. And the first painting that I did was terrible. But I was motivated. Wow, I had the rhythm. I kept going back to my art doppelganger. Doppelganger is a German word. It means twin self. I kept going back and I kept painting and painting and painting. Now I happen to be an artist who sells, and my paintings are hanging all over the world. I painted over 300 canvases. That's a lifetime of production for some people. The very first time I picked up a paintbrush, very first time, I was 78 years old.
Oh my goodness.
I am now, I know I don't look it, and I probably don't sound it, but I'm 87. And I still paint every day, and I have people waiting for some of my canvases.
That's one of yours behind you right now, isn't it? I've had my eye on that.
I'll just get out of the way for a moment. That's one of mine, yes.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. You've done...
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just blown away by all these different things you've done, through quantum jumping. But I want to ask you, how did you actually discover quantum jumping? I mean, you were a master when it came to meditation and hypnosis, and you've been on this spiritual journey as a teacher and a person who's talked and taught to thousands of people. So how did quantum jumping manifest? What's the story behind that?
I have done a lot of lectures in my time, many, many lectures, and Edgar Mitchell is an astronaut. He's the sixth man on the moon, and he's also a quantum physicist. And he invited me to speak before his group, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, in the up north of the Bay Area, in Petaluma. And I was talking about my philosophy, not quantum jumping. This is before quantum jumping. And I had lunch with Dr. Mitchell, and we started talking, and he told me about a concept in quantum physics, that there is an infinity of universes that some physicists believe in. Now, infinity is that's a real loaded word.
Yes, it is.
Infinity means unending. If there's an infinity of universes, whatever you can imagine is. I said before, there are many roads in front of you. You take the road on the left, the tributary on the left. You didn't take the tributary on the right. Well, one of your doppelgangers did take the tributary on the right and wound up in a different place than you did. All that is in the quantum physics concept of infinity. In other words, in one of those infinity of universes, you are the President of the United States. In another, you're homeless. In another, you're a multimillionaire. In another one, you're in the middle. And another one, you're a cave person. Another one, you're somewhere from the... In other words, whatever you can imagine is. Now, sounds like it's goofy, but there's a lot of books written on this subject. Not necessarily by me, by quantum physicists. Now, the physicists believe that this is true, what I just said, that in the infinity of universes, everything that can be imagined is. But they also believe and know, not believe, they know that because of the laws of physics, you can't reach any of those. In other words, if you were to go to the moon, let's say, the fastest you can get to the moon is maybe weeks or months, I don't know. Or if you could travel at the speed of light, let's say, which you can't, if you could travel at the speed of light, it would take you a few minutes to get to the moon, to get to the sun. That's the law of physics. I don't teach physics. I teach metaphysics. What does meta mean? Meta means beyond. Metaphysics is beyond physics. I can be on Mars or the moon. I can be on the moon. Wait just a second, I'm going to go to the moon now. Hey, I'm standing on the moon in my imagination. Mentally, you have no bounds. Mentally, you can stand on the sun and be cold if you want to. You're in total control of your mind. Quantum jumping, the premise comes from the physical world, but the motivation, the action, the attitude comes from the metaphysical world. There is where we use infinity. In the quantum world of the physical, quantum physics, you cannot use infinity. But in the metaphysical world, we can use infinity. And you can be anything at all. You want to be an artist? You may not want to be an artist. You may want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't have the motivation. You don't think you can do it. Baloney, you can do anything. Anything. But as I said, it's not a magic wand. You may not have the faculties to do certain things. But this will give you the motivation and the attitude, and more important than anything else, the rhythm. See, everybody has a rhythm. A successful person has a different rhythm than a person who's a failure. Their rhythms are different. Some people call it an energy. It is an energy. Some people call it a vibration. It is a vibration. But it's a rhythm. Now, you know all about rhythms without even realizing it. If you were to stand in front of a church, as an example, a temple, a mosque, a synagogue, you'd feel a very peaceful rhythm. Stand in front of a jail or a hospital, boy, it's totally different. You feel awkward.
Jangly.
You're sensitive to it. You feel danger in some places. You'll feel comfort in some. All that's a rhythm. What people don't realize is that rhythm can be controlled. That's what quantum jumping is all about, controlling the rhythm. See, that we can give you. You may not be able to bring out. I can go in and, as an example, and see the Picasso me. That don't mean that I'm going to paint like Picasso. That does mean that I'm going to get Picasso's rhythm, or the me who would have been a Picasso if the circumstances presented themselves. I would get that rhythm. And now, when I painted something, if I practice, I would, in fact, paint like Picasso. But I don't want to copy another painter. I want my own art form. That painting you see behind me, what genre is that? It's my own genre. Nobody has painted anything quite like that. And my paintings sell. My favorite artist is Van Gogh. Van Gogh's work today is, I don't think you can buy one for $10 million. And yet in his lifetime, he never sold a painting. Well, one, but he sold it to another artist. Never sold it. Can you imagine that? Today, his paintings are worth tens of millions, hundreds. One of his paintings sold for over $100 million. And Van Gogh had painted over, between his drawings and his paintings, over 1,000. I'm only up to 300. Not that I'm competing with him. You know, I have painted a few Van Goghs myself. They're not Van Goghs, they're copies that you'll be able to see, perhaps if you see. I painted his bedroom and the pool hall that you might have seen. I very much enjoy copying a great artist like Van Gogh, who today is considered the greatest artist who ever lived. And yet when he was painting, he couldn't sell a painting. And his brother was an art dealer. Figure that one out.
Okay, but I just want to ask you, alternate universes, doppelganger twin stuff, whilst you may be able to kind of understand the concept of it, do you have to believe in that for quantum jumping to actually work? I mean, can anyone quantum jump?
Well, first of all, as far as believing in quantum jumping, it's silly. Why would you believe in it?
That's not very convincing.
I like skeptic. You should be skeptical. How can you believe this? It sounds silly. I tell people, if you want to be skeptical because I'm skeptical. Every time I quantum jump, I'm thinking, what am I, having a nervous breakdown or what? This is crazy. But it works. It works. That's the only thing, the only question you should ask, does it work? Now, what about people who say, well, I can't quantum jump? My question to them is, can you daydream? Of course, everybody daydreams. It's the same thing. It's using the daydreaming mechanism. There's a mechanism that you have that everybody has. Everybody daydreams. Daydreams are so important. If you get nothing else out of quantum jumping, only the ability to let us say daydream more effectively, you don't need the quantum jumping, because daydreaming will help you immensely, immensely. One of the things that is knocked out of people at an early age, unfortunately, is daydreaming. It seems to be a negative thing in schools. Teachers saying, what are you daydreaming for? Why don't you do that? Why don't you? Hey, everybody daydream. Every invention that we have ever had, and I'm not only talking about computers, I'm talking about everything, including something as simple as this pencil. This pencil and the computer you're watching this, or the monitor that you're watching this, the module. Everything was a daydream at one time. Everything. Look around you, look on the walls. Look at your desk, look at the chair, look at the carpet, look at the house you're in, the office you're in, the car you're in. Everything that you see there at one time was a daydream.
Oh my God, you're so right. It's just so obvious.
Of course.
Wow.
Now, for those of you who still don't understand what I'm talking about, let's take this pencil. Before this was a pencil, it was a piece of wood and a piece of lead or whatever and a piece of rubber at the end. But before it was that, it was a drawing on a piece of paper. It had to be. Everything at one time was a drawing on a piece of paper. And before it was a drawing on a piece of paper, some engineer or draftsman was sitting, staring at the ceiling, daydreaming the configuration of the pencil. Everything is a daydream. Daydreaming made the world. Use it. If you get nothing else out of quantum jumping but the ability to enhance your daydreaming, it will have been worth 1,000 times the effort and the money for the course.
Okay, and I think with that, I think everyone's just psyched up now to actually experience our first jump. I mean, this is what we're here for. This is unbelievable. You just given me a complete breakthrough, and my thinking has just completely shifted and changed just by everything you've just said. It's just so obvious and yet unseen until now. So thank you so much for that. I know everybody here today, everyone's so excited to actually try out our first ever quantum jump. We're all going to be just as skeptical as well as excitable about this process. Can you explain, before we actually get to our first jump, the actual process? What's going to happen in our first quantum jump? What happens when you actually quantum jump? Do you actually jump into a different place? I mean, walk us through it first before we actually dive in.
Well, we call it quantum jumping because we're getting away from the quantum leap thing, which used to be a popular television show. It's actually, I very seldom jump. I usually just step over the threshold.
Okay.
What happens is you open the door, and the other side of that door is the place that you want to be. So you're just really stepping over it. It's just a word, quantum. We had to call it something. So we came up with quantum jumping, and it is kind of a catchy word. And I use the word quantum, although quantum really means the smallest of the small, quanta, coming from the word quanta. We call it quantum primarily because I got the idea from quantum physics. People very often tell me, well, what do you know about physics? I don't know anything about physics. I've never pretended to know anything about physics. Well, why do you call it quantum? I call it quantum because I got the idea from quantum physics, as I mentioned, with Edgar Mitchell's group. After that, I did read some books by some prominent physicists because I wanted to understand this concept of infinity. Most of it I couldn't comprehend at all. I would just flip pages. I don't know anything. Mathematics, I know how to add, divide, subtract, and multiply. I don't know algebra, I don't know geometry. I certainly don't know anything with respect to quantum physics. But as I said before, I got the idea there. So that's where the word quantum came in. And jumping, because you're leaping, literally. I'd rather call it quantum leap, but we can't, because as I said, there was a TV show with that. You're actually leaping into an entirely different dimension where a you is already successful at what you want to become. And you're going there to get that person's rhythm, as I've said.
Okay.
It's just a word. Don't get hung up in the words.
Okay, let's get rid of the words. Now, what do we need to do prepared before we actually take this jump, leap, stroll, amble, hop, skip, however we want to do it, whichever word we want to use, to go and meet our doppelganger for the first time, our first quantum jump?
The only thing that I would ask of a person is that they find a place where they will be uninterrupted, where they can close their eyes and be away from outside extraneous forces, and have a bit of an idea as to where they want to go. When I say where they want to go, who they want to meet. Remember, you're meeting a self, a you, that's already successful in what you want to do and what you want to become. That's what you're going for. And that person is out there. Now, what is that person going to look like? Well, it'll be you. It'll be you with perhaps a different upbringing and perhaps in a different time period, perhaps with different education, but it will be you. You can talk to that person. Some people have a nice conversation with that person. Some people, the words that you will hear, I can go over those two words here. The important words are, once you have daydreamed, if you will, your doppelganger, or once you've daydreamed the self that you want to become, you observe that person. In other words, you watch that person mentally. You're sitting with your eyes closed. You imagine that person doing the things that you want to do. In my case, I saw the person painting something. It was hazy. I don't know what it was painting. Just painting, that's all. That's the observation part. But there's no rhythm involved yet. I wanted the rhythm. Without the rhythm, it's useless. So first you observe, and then you merge. That's the second word. Observe, merge. First you observe the person, then what do you mean merge? Well, you imagine, you see that person. Actually, it's a daydream. So you can daydream anything. You visualize that person. The visualization is a daydream. You imagine that person. Imagination is a daydream. And you get closer to that person, and now you're watching that person paint or doing whatever it is they're doing, and then you merge with that person. You step into that person's body, and now you're doing the painting and getting the rhythm.
Well, I'm sold, or rather bought, or whichever the phrase is. So I think we are all set, good to go, and completely pumped about this. So what we have to do is think about the kind of person that we want to meet, our twin star that we want to meet. Have you got any advice if we don't necessarily know who we want to meet? How can we figure out the kind of person? How can we simplify this for those of us who kind of want to meet so many different people, to narrow it down now so that we can actually enjoy our first jump?
Some people see an actual person, some people see an outline, some people don't imagine they see anything, they just do it. They just imagine they're doing the thing. Whatever you do is correct, because what you're doing is opening up a channel to confidence. And confidence is the first step. Confidence and self-esteem is the first step towards achievement, whatever it is that you want to achieve. Whether it's a physical thing, a philosophy, a mental thing, whatever it is that you want to achieve, that's the first step. Let's do a quantum jump right now. And this does not count if you're in an automobile or riding a bicycle, you'll understand, because your eyes are going to be closed. But we'll do a quick one. Now, when I say a quick one, it'll be effective. But the quantum jumping modules that you'll get from the program will be quite a bit longer and quite a bit more effective, because by that time you will have, let us say, changed your attitude to some degree and are more ready to accept it. Not that this one that we're doing now won't be effective, it will. And many of you may well have your lives changed by what you're going to go through with me right now. So, all I'm going to ask you to do is follow along with what I do. But before we do that, if you had your choice of meeting a you, let's say that you accept. Let's just make believe, pretend that everything I've said is true and that there are an infinity of universes. And in one of those universes, there's a you who is successful at what it is that you want to do or be, or perhaps some event that you want to take place. In one of those universes, it has already happened. So now think about a person, a you, your name, your time period, your choice, whatever it is that you want to choose. That you, let's say you have a goal, and that person has already achieved that goal. So that's the you that you want to visit. And now I will guide you. So just go along with what I'm saying. That's all. Now, I mentioned that I was a hypnotist. This is not hypnosis. This is more like meditation than hypnosis. Some of you may say, well, it sounds like hypnosis. It sounds like it, but it's not. Because what's the determining factor between meditation and going to alpha and quantum jumping and hypnosis? Well, the difference is what you do when you get to that particular point where you jump off, let us say, into wherever it is that you're going. With meditation, and what your goal is. With meditation, your goal simply usually is spiritual. At least that's what my goal is with meditation. Your goal with going to alpha usually is goal setting, having a goal set. Now, with respect to hypnosis, it's generally an operator in control of a subject, and you really don't have that much control yourself. Well, that's not the case here, so it's not hypnosis. What we're going to be doing, quantum jumping, is simply you following my instructions and you taking off on your own. I'm not going to tell you who to see. You will determine that yourself, okay? All right, so with that in mind, just relax. Find a comfortable position and just listen to my voice and just go along with what I'm saying. That's all you have to do. So at this time, close your eyes. That's fine. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and visualize the number 3, 3 times. 3, 3, 3, just like that. Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and visualize the number 2, 3 times. Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and visualize the number 1, 3 times. Relax. You are now at a more relaxed, a more meditative state of mind. It's very soothing to be relaxed. Actually, when you relax and get your mind away from your body, get that psyche away from the soma, you release a lot of very positive endorphins. And you find your immune system strengthening. Very often, just simply by relaxing as you're doing now, you find many of your pains disappearing, many of your problems leaving you. Now I'm going to count from 10 to 1. At each descending number, feel going still deeper into the meditative state. 10, 9, feel going deeper. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, deeper and deeper. 3, 2, 1. It's wonderful being completely relaxed. Repeat mentally after me. Each time I meditate, each time I relax as I am relaxed now, my health improves. My confidence improves. My self-esteem grows. Relax. Imagine now that you're in a hallway. At the end of the hallway is a door. Create that door. You can make the door exactly like the front door to your home or apartment. You know what that door looks like. Imagine that door now. Imagine the top of the door, the middle of the door, the bottom. Visualize the entire door. Your own front door is in front of you. Note the door handle or knob. It's your front door. However, this time, when you open that door, on the other side of the door is a different dimension. A dimension that you will be able to take a quantum jump into. And waiting for you in that dimension is your doppelganger, a twin self of yours who has achieved success in whatever it is you would like to be successful at. You will imagine it. You will know that you're there. Now walk slowly up to the door. Imagine that you're standing in front of the door. On the other side of the door is your double, your twin self, who is doing something that it is that you want to do. That twin self of yours is what you want to become. That twin self of yours has the rhythm that you would like for yourself. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and at the count to 3, the door will slowly open. 1, 2, 3. The door is slowly opening. The door is open. Now step into the other dimension. When you step over the threshold, to step or jump over the threshold, you'll be in the dimension of your successful twin self. Do that now. Now look at your twin self. Observe your twin self. Observe what your twin self is doing. Relax. Take your time. And now, imagine you're walking closer and closer to your twin self. In a moment, you're going to merge with your twin self. And then you will be doing what you observed your twin self doing. At the count of 3, you'll merge. 1, 2, 3. Merge with your twin self. And now you do what your twin self was doing. As you do what your twin self was doing, what is happening is you're gathering the rhythm of that self. Now, when you come back to this reality, to this dimension, you will bring the rhythm of success with you. And now step out of your twin self. Good. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and you'll be back in the hallway and the door will close. 1, 2, 3. The door is closing. You're back in this reality. Remember what you just observed and how you merged. You now have the rhythm of success in your future endeavor. Relax. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. At the count of 5, your eyes will open. You'll be wide awake, feeling wonderfully refreshed, feeling better than before. 1, 2, 3, coming out slowly. 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake. And you've just taken your first quantum jump.
Oh, wow, Burt. I can't talk to you any longer. I've got to go home and start baking. That's what I did. I want to be a master baker. That was unbelievable. I saw the Julia Childs version of me. So see you later.
Okay, that was a good session, I thought. I mean, the whole thing, everything.
That was amazing. That was so brilliant. Yeah, I just can't believe it. I really do have this urge to bake. It's uncanny.
This, as goofy as it all sounds, it works.
Burt, that was such a small, powerful nugget of an experience. I wonder whether you could share with us an example of what it was like, how transforming it can be for someone who's actually gone through your whole program, whether it's all of 1 and 2 or just 1.
Well, in the beginning, when I first started with quantum jumping, I was doing physical classes. This is before the internet, actually. And not at the beginning, you might say. We weren't on the internet at any rate. And a couple of friends came into the class. Mark Schultz, not that you need the names, and his wife came in. I didn't know his wife that well, but I knew her. And they came in and they went through the class. And I wasn't looking for a testimonial or anything. At that time, people, they talked about it and they wrote in testimonials and such. But about 8 months, maybe a year goes by. And now Mark is a friend. And he calls me up and says, he lived in Santa Monica at the time. And he says, would you like to come over? And, we haven't seen you for a while. I says, yeah, sure. Love to. So my wife and I, we go to Santa Monica and meet Mark and his wife. And I say hi, Mark, and his wife's name is Betty, and says, hi, Betty. And she looks at me and she's kind of grinning, what are you grinning at? She looks at me and she says, don't you notice anything? And I says, she put me on the spot. And I looked at her and I said, you change your hair? I don't know what to say. And she says, you really don't notice a difference in me? And I says, well, I don't know. Give me a hint. She says, I'll give you a hint. She says, I lost 85 pounds. Just like that.
Goodness.
And I'm looking at her, and you know something? When I saw her, when I go to the house, I see this slim, beautiful. She was beautiful before, but she was fat and beautiful. And when I saw this slim person, I couldn't relate it to the person that I saw before. So I thought, well, no, that can't be her. And I actually didn't recognize her. She'd lost so much weight. So I says, my God. I says, well, what kind of a diet did you go on? She says, I went on the quantum jumping diet.
No way.
Says, what's that? Because I didn't know what she was talking about. She says, well, the way you explained it in the class, you can do anything, you can be anything. So she says, I jumped into a me who knew exactly how to lose weight. And I was talking to her and I asked her, what should I do to lose weight? And at first I thought I was, just fooling myself. But I distinctly heard her say, just like, you heard that guy, because I used to tell the story a lot about the guy that said, plant yourself, and you didn't know what he meant. Well, in this particular case, it was pretty similar because this slim self of mine looked at me and said, 1,500. And I said, 1,500, what does that mean? I didn't know what 1,500 meant. And so it was so interesting to me because it was like a daydream, but it was more than a daydream. I really know what you mean. In the class when we jumped, I really got into myself. I was playing around. It was fun actually, but I didn't think anything positive was going to happen. But I kept thinking about 1,500. What does she mean 1,500? So I went back and I took another jump and I see her again. And I did like you said. First I'm observing her. And then I get into her slim body. And I says, what's 1,500 mean? And then she says, calories, you dummy. That I heard real clear. Calories, you dummy. And I says, 1,500 calories. What is that? And she says, after that, she says, I got a calorie chart and I started looking at calories. I didn't know one calorie from another. I knew that if you ate a lot, you're going to get fat. I knew that if you ate a lot of carbs, is no good. If you ate a lot of fat, is no good. But I didn't know one calorie from another. I didn't know what it meant. I started learning. She says, and from that day on, I started looking and I never ate more than 1,500 calories a day for like months. And the pounds just dripped off of me. And I kept going back to her and we had a conversation. I mean, it was just the way she was talking. All it did was confirm really what I already knew, that quantum jumping works. it doesn't work every time, but it works so often. And I've had people tell me with careers, I think the biggest thing that I get is from youngsters who are choosing a career. Like there was a young person in the class, he couldn't decide between being an architect and a policeman. I mean, that's
Wow.
worlds apart. What's the association between the two? So he says, I took a quantum jump to myself 10 years in the future if I chose to be a policeman. And he says that I saw all of the friends that I had and what I would do at night and what I ate and where I lived and who I married. He wasn't married at the time. And I saw my whole life as a policeman. And then the next day I went and I jumped into myself as an architect. And I saw myself as what I would be as an architect, my friends who I married. And then I started really getting into it. And then I saw myself as an entrepreneur. And it was easy for me to make choices because I could see where I was going. So I said, what did you finally choose? He says, oh, he said, I'm going to law school now. But, most people, they know they're in control of their lives, but they don't know how to control it. Well, this is one way to control it. You take a quantum jump into a you. You're not into a stranger, into a you who has chosen the field that you want to go to. And you've got a lot of choices. The whole world has a choice. And you are who you are, incidentally, because of choices that you've made in the past. Quantum jumping, to make choices, it's just the most, I can't speak about it enough as far as a powerful tool. I can't be positive enough about it. It literally, people say this will change your life. This will change your life, of course, but even better, it will help you to direct your life. It'll help you to decide on what road you want to travel. Quantum jumping will do it.
But talking about that, and Betty's experience with discovering the world, calories, and a young man who decided to go down the lawyer route, which is very much, for us Asians, the first choice that we all make, or our parents make for us anyway, and he made it on his own. Could you tell us a little bit about the framework of quantum jumping 1 and 2, just to give us an overview?
Sure. And as far as the specifics, that you can get just by looking at the website, of course. But what you really want to know is, if I go through quantum jumping 1, why do I need quantum jumping 2? And it would be a good question. Because the stories that I told you, those people, there was no quantum jumping 2 at that time. As a matter of fact, wasn't even an internet to speak of. That was like about 10, 11 years ago.
Wow.
With respect to Betty Schultz and my friend Mark. They went through, you might say, even before quantum jumping 1. But why should you go through 2? Well, why should you go through high school? Why should anybody go to university? Many people 100 years ago, they went to the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. If they went to the 5th grade, they were doing great. And some of them became presidents of the United States. And so why should they have gone on? Why should you go on? Well, metaphorically speaking, and I love to talk about this with respect to why should you take quantum jumping 2? As a metaphor, you go through school, you learn just about everything that you think you'll need when you graduate high school. When you finish high school, you've gone to school for 12 years in most countries. And as far as you're concerned, well, you're 18 years old, 17, 18. There's nobody smarter than an 18-year-old. Nobody. I know one 18-year-old said to me, gee, when I got to be 20, all of a sudden I discovered how smart my father was. And it's true. 18-year-olds know everything, and they're also immortal. Who fights wars? 18-year-olds. If 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds were the ones that fought the wars, there wouldn't be any wars.
That's right.
But the kids are the ones who fight the wars. Well, what's that got to do with quantum jumping? We're getting away from it. What I started to say was that when you go through high school and you finish high school, you've learned enough. You can live your life. But how much better off are you when you go to the university, when you go to college? You learn so many more things. And then, what if you want to go after a doctorate? What if you want to specialize? And that's what quantum jumping 2 is. That's a specialization in life. Now, that sounds strange. What do I mean by that? What I mean is you don't know where you're going to go right now. The story that I told about the people, about the guy who didn't know whether he wanted to be an architect or a policeman and wound up an attorney, that's what I mean by specialization. Quantum jumping 1 will do a job for you. There's not a thing wrong with it. You can live very nicely with a high school education. But you're far much better off, and it's much more likely that your income will be a third of as much, half again as much, or double if you go to university. And with a doctorate, even more so. That's what quantum jumping 2 is. And when you've gone through quantum jumping 2, then you've gotten your doctorate. Now you've got it. So I always tell people when they come up to me and they say, should I get this? And I say to them this way: if time and money were not an issue, if time and money were not an issue, is this something that you would like to have? If the answer is yes, go no further, my friend. You must have quantum jumping 2.
One thing I love about everything that you're saying, you're not trying to sort of make people believe in alternate universes or make people believe in twin cells. You're quite happy for them just to actually believe in just the power of daydreaming and it's sort of acute daydreaming, for want of a better word, where you actually get what you want from it rather than just let your mind wander. And that's something that's so fascinating for me, and I think is also something really important for younger people as well as the old, like all of us. We need to be re-educated on how to daydream properly, and I think this quantum jumping 1 and 2 actually gives us that.
It's enough. A person doesn't need, there's a million programs out there. A person doesn't need anything after quantum jumping. And if they have done another program, quantum jumping will enhance that particular program, and they'll be able to utilize the material from the other program better, knowing quantum jumping.
I couldn't agree more. But I would love to hear your opinion on, you talked about saying if time and money were an issue, would you want to do this? And I think one of the things is that a lot of people feel guilty or bad about investing in themselves. Like they really want to do it, and they could give up the time and the money to actually do it. But there's also, do you find that? Is that one of the big blocks that we have with ourselves that perhaps quantum jumping could actually help with as well? Sort of like investing in ourselves?
I think the big thing with people is this: there are so very many scams around. Everybody is full of the well-known substance, for the lack of a better word. Everybody promises the moon. Somebody once told me, he said, you're promising the moon as well as they are. I said, yeah, I promise the moon, but I deliver the stars.
Brilliant.
And that's one of the problems. They're afraid to. Nobody likes to be humiliated. Nobody likes to feel foolish. And some people, when they hear me talk about this thing and quantum jumping, what do you mean quantum jumping? You're going to jump into another universe? Come on, who are you kidding? Well, of course you're not going to jump into another universe. Everything is metaphorical. All I'm saying is that if you just follow along with the directions and you find your life changing, it'll work. And what if it doesn't work? So if it doesn't work, what have you lost? Nothing. At the very worst, it's recreational. You'll learn how to get a little recreation out of your daydreaming. But it's not a scam. And the best, let us say, the best method or manner in which we can prove to you that it isn't is with our money back guarantee. Now, you might say, well, everybody has a money back guarantee. Yeah, but we mean it. Ours is unqualified. When somebody asks for money back, and it happens, and occasionally there's nothing that suits everybody. Whatever you have, somebody's going to find a flaw in it. And I tell people again and again, my mantra is I only want happy money. If you're not happy with my product, I don't want you to have it. It doesn't belong to you. So order it. If you don't like it, ask for your money back. We don't question it. We don't say, why do you want your money back? Is something the matter with it? We just say, of course, here. I was doing a seminar once, a long time ago, not quantum jumping, with Supermind. And there was about 300 people in the class. And it was a great class. And people came to me and I felt like the Pope. They were kissing my hand. They were bringing me flowers. And 3 people asked for their money back. And there's always somebody who doesn't like your product or whatever it is. So another time a woman comes over and he says, let me tell you why I want my money back. I says, I don't want to know. She says, what do you want? What do you mean you don't want to know? I said, look, there's 150 people that loved it. You want your money? What do I care? The problem is not with the class, obviously. If you want your money, here's your money. No, I want you to know why. I don't care why. There's always that. We promise and we deliver. If it sounds like I'm promising the moon, fine. Remember what I said. We may promise the moon, but we deliver the stars. You'll love it.
Burt, thank you so much. This has been eye-opening, and I am really excited. I'm going to be starting my quantum jumping one, and I will let you know how that goes. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day, a marvelous week, a sensational month, and for the rest of the year, be happy.
Thanks, Burt.
Bye.
So there you have it. I think the fantastic thing about something like quantum jumping is you can actually do this course without having a direction or goal set and just go in and see what's there. You never know what kind of message you're going to get. Or you can go in actually with a goal in order to use quantum jumping to make sure that you hit that target and you even perhaps take it a little bit further. It actually says to you or makes you feel, and make sure you remember that or take a note of it so that when that moment arises, when the penny's going to drop and it's going to click into place and you're going to know exactly what to do because you've had the message, you'll be able to remember it. And that's definitely going to stick in my mind. I think quantum jumping is something that's really worth experiencing because, as Burt says, you know, if you take time and money out of the equation, is this something you actually really want to do? And if the answer is yes, and it's even just simply for fun to get better daydreams, then it's really worth doing. Science has proven that daydreaming is actually really beneficial to focus and achieving success in everything you want to do. So there you have it. You can't dispute the data. And with that, I'm just going to let you know that if you are interested in joining Quantum Jumping 1, the program, all you have to do is click on the link below and you'll find out all you need to know about it. And the fantastic thing is you get to experience this for 90 days. Dabble in it, try it out, see if it works, see if it resonates, see how much fun you're having. And if it doesn't resonate with you, if it's really not clicking with you, because different horses for different courses, and that's fair enough, all you got to know is let us know about that and you will get a full refund back. So it's a win-win situation all around. So I suggest you go ahead and jump on the quantum jumping bandwagon.